Starting to get dark here in southern Alberta. We're back live at McMahon Stadium. You know, tomorrow will be the third time the Grey Cup has been played in this province. Once to the north in Edmonton. It will be the second time here in Calgary. The first time the Grey Cup was played here in southern Alberta was 1975 when the Montreal Alouettes met the Edmonton Eskimos. And on this Saturday afternoon, we look back nearly 20 years. In 1975, Calgary becomes the first prairie city to host the Grey Cup and serves up its Western hospitality. Racing minus 20-degree temperatures for the game here at McMahon Stadium, and Prime Minister Trudeau was pulling that day for Montreal. But a crushing Edmonton defense was anchored by linebacker Dan Kepley, and the Eskimos, coming off defeats in the previous two Grey Cups, were out for revenge. Even the moves of the ordinary superstar Johnny Rodgers could not produce a touchdown this day, the first Grey Cup game without a major in 38 years. On the sidelines for the Eskimos, Ray Yawk in his third attempt to win the Grey Cup. Marv Levy, who coached in 3 Grey Cups before shuffling off to Buffalo, remembers the day well.
It was a bitter cold day. It must have been 0 or even sub-zero weather, Fahrenheit, and very windy on top of it. I do recall we trailed in the game 9-7 late in the game and took a painstaking drive down and got into field goal position. If we had made it, we would have won the game 10-9, but the man was holding it. His hands were so cold he couldn't hold on to the snap. He didn't get the ball down well, and Don Sweet, our place kicker, made an attempt, but the ball missed the uprights, and you get 1 point, of course, in Canada if you kick it into the end zone. We got the 1 point. That wasn't enough. We lost 9-8.
18 years ago here in Calgary, triumph belonged to Edmonton. The Grey Cup would be staying in Alberta in 1975. Marv Levy talked about the holder on that day. It was Jimmy Jones, one of the Montreal quarterbacks. Well, as promised, joining me live this afternoon from Lincoln, Nebraska, is the ordinary superstar Johnny Rodgers. There you are. Johnny, I thought you'd have your back to us. That's how you usually went across the goal line here in the CFL.
Well, it started right here in Lincoln. They were just asking me about some of those incidents yesterday in college, and Coach Devaney told me to do them any way I could, so I took them on to Canada, and people there loved it.
Johnny, give me a memory, if you will, of 1975 in this stadium, the loss to the Edmonton Eskimos.
Well, it was a bitter loss and bitter cold. You know, as some of the other people had stated, it was colder than most human beings could actually stand it and play football at the same time. And you know, you think you're used to cold weather coming from Nebraska, but we had some real cold times in Calgary that day, and I think that probably, with no excuses, because Edmonton outplayed us that day, but on a warmer day, we surely probably would have kicked a short field goal or been able to come up with something else a little bit creative. But it's part of the game, and but it's definitely a part that is hard to deal with.
Johnny, it's a warm day here in southern Alberta today, and I'll tell you one reason you didn't win that game is the outstanding play of one of the great linebackers of all time in this league, Dan Kepley, who will be in the booth tomorrow with James Curry and Don Whitman. Kep, your favorite memories of that game nearly 20 years ago?
I tell you what, that's the first time I'd seen Johnny's face. I didn't even know what he looked like. I had normally seen his behind most of the time running away from it. He was doing a good job. But as Johnny said, it was a horribly cold day. And for me, it was quite interesting because I had only been in Canada about 4 weeks up to that point. We had 3 regular season games, a playoff game, and then this was my first Grey Cup. So I didn't know exactly what Grey Cup meant. But it was another game. It was a championship game, and it was an opportunity to go out there and play. And it was exciting.
You were in Edmonton in 1984, a great Grey Cup week there, a good one in Ottawa in 1988. You were here in 75. How has this week compared so far? Tell folks across the country, and Johnny looking on in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Well, I have to admit that all of the Western times that I have seen the Grey Cup out here, the cities have done themselves tremendously proud. Calgary has gone overboard, I mean, above anything else that we have seen in a lot of areas to try to make this as great a spectacle as possible, and I think you couldn't ask for two of the better teams to play the game for Sunday afternoon.
Johnny Rodgers, I think if we can switch to you in Lincoln, Nebraska, I think you heard the interview with the writers about the possibility of expansion into the United States. Johnny, your thoughts on expanding south of the border?
Well, I think the Canadian Football League really has too many opportunities for Americans and Canadians to really even think to become a minor league team for the NFL. I think it's always served as an alternative to our different players coming out of college, and it's a good bargaining leverage all the time, basically for the players. People really don't understand just how competitive the Canadian Football League is and how exciting it can be. It really, the longer field and the wider field really adds a lot of excitement to the game that you a lot of times don't get here. Colleges are opening up right now with the new techniques for as far as the running and the shoot, but Canadian football players and the league have been doing that for quite a few years now, and I really think it would be a shame. It would definitely hurt myself to think that I went 4 years into the college and then ended up with a semi-professional team in Canada.
So the Heisman Trophy winner is telling us that if the CFL expands into the States, you believe it becomes a semi-pro league for the NFL?
If it expands into the States, it can be nothing but a minor league team for the NFL. Whether that's good or bad is it's not for me to say, but that's probably the way it will be looked upon.
All right, the ordinary superstar, Johnny Rodgers, thank you for joining us. Good luck. What are you doing right now, Johnny? You working at the University of Nebraska?
Yes, I'm working at the university and taking some broadcasting classes here, so I can come up and do a CFL game one day.
All right. Dan Kepley, you're going to be doing the game tomorrow. The last word is yours. We'll talk more about it later. You're going to be on tomorrow. What do you think of expansion?
I like it. I think it has to happen. Right now, I think Canada has utilized all its facilities up here that it can be. I think there's a lot of great cities in the United States that are looking for this kind of exciting game. Look at the way the NFL is gone right now. Look at the number of receivers. Look at how many times they're throwing the ball. Look at the success of a guy like Warren Moon. Most teams down there are starting to take that kind of lead. That's what the Canadian League will bring to them.
Two of the greats from '75, Dan Kepley, and the ordinary superstar, Johnny Rodgers.